Hello there, everybody. My name is Zalrok, and welcome to the table. I am going to be here with Calon, and this is going to be a Zalterview. Woo. Hello there. Hello there, Calon.
Hello.
How is it going on your fine Sunday?
It's going a lot more peacefully since a lot of people blocked me.
Yes, I saw
Be
about
amazed at
that.
how peaceful it gets.
Yes, I saw about that whole scenario. So, tell the people watching, if there are any, ever, what you do or who you are, basically.
Well, basically, I'm a polytheist. That means I believe in multiple gods. I'm a pagan, and I hold to a Sumerian and heathen tradition, which means that I believe in the Sumerian gods and the Old Norse gods like Odin, Thor, Freya, Frigg, Tyr, and so forth. And mostly, I'm active on Twitter, getting into arguments. Uh, People keep critiquing me and they think I should not respond back, apparently. It's weird.
That is indeed weird. That is very weird. I mean, if they want to have a discussion, then the person they're discussing should be able to respond back, shouldn't it? But apparently, no. Not if you're a polytheist. You're just wrong. No,
Yep, just wrong from the get go. Wrong, and you're supposed to hear what I say and do what I say because, reasons. Not allowed to think. Which is
well,
kind of a common attitude I get. It's like if you're religious, you're not supposed to be able to think for yourself. Which, no, that doesn't apply at all.
yeah, it's not like polytheism doesn't have the same doctrines as Christianity or anything. It doesn't. It's completely different. Even I understand this.
Yep, and that's just even on like a sort of basic level. The main thing that people forget is that for a lot of us, it's a matter of orthopraxy. So, in other words, proper practice rather than proper belief. So, like dogma takes a step back, and I mean, you do have dogmatic thinkers in polytheism. That it can certainly happen, but it takes a step back to sort of experiential. This is what we do, proper practice, proper ritual, and all that other stuff. Like, I know several polytheists who study astrophysics and whatnot, and various things of those nature, things you wouldn't expect for them to study being a theist, apparently. At least from what the statistics suggest. Because most scientists tend to be atheists.
Well, it's either most scientists are atheists, or they're Christian, or they're whatever belief system you want, or can be. They don't have to be religious. They just can be whatever the belief system does not apply in science. Even whatever the fuck you want, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
because it's. Hmm? Sorry. Yeah, because it's all based off of empiricism. And it's also a different domain than religion. Re- Religion and science are, believe it or not, very separate things. When you try to blend the two, that's where you get a whole lot of issues. That's what young Earth creationists like to try to do, and they fail, as I'm sure you've seen.
young Earth or old Earth. It, it really depends. And of course, you could be a creationist and a polytheist. That's also a thing.
You can be, yeah, and I mean, I don't. I mean, it also depends on what you mean by creationist, because I think because beyond sort of the Yek and Christian creationism itself is just simply the idea that God or gods created the world or the universe. That's it.
Yeah.
Which as a polytheist you can have sort of a flexible. I know some polytheists hold that it comes from chaos. Others, yes, indeed, hold that the gods made the universe or a particular god. I myself hold to the idea of a prime mover, though it's complicated with heathenry.
I'm gonna go ask the question, what the fuck is heathenry compared to paganism compared to what else is there?
So heathenry would be a subset of paganism, and basically those are pagans that follow Germanic tradition. So like you can have Saxon heathens, heathens who follow to the best of their ability the Saxon gods or the Saxon traditions. I fall more in line with Norse heathenry. So for me, it's Odin, Freya, Frigg. Though there aren't necessarily separate gods, this is there. Freyr and so forth. And I imagine there are also Proto-Germanic heathens. That is, they Proto-Germanic. That is, they try to take what they can from Proto-Germanic, which is a language that was spoken before all the other Germanic languages, and try to construct their traditions from there. If that makes sense. Sorry if it's a little long-winded there.
Oh no, it's fine. I have to have as much as I can within this hour, so you could be as long-winded as you want. I don't personally mind.
Yeah, it can seem like a lot at first, but it's manageable. You get a lot of you have to be. So I also follow a perspective of reconstructionism. So I want to focus on reconstructing and sort of bringing in the old traditions into like a modern way, if that makes sense.
Minus the blood sacrifice, right?
Well, there are some people who I'll admit I'm tempted to sacrifice. I mean, like certain Nazis and no, I'm kidding. But yes, minus the blood sacrifices. Although, I mean, depending on how you define sacrifice, can really So, for example, if I have to eat, and let's say I kill an animal so I can eat, I can technically offer that as thanks to the gods for the meal, or as a prayer to the animal, and that would still technically be considered a sacrifice, even though I'm using up all of the animal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to eat the organs of the animal, you could say burn the organs as a sacrifice to
You
the
can,
god
or
and
I
keep the rest of the meat. I mean, there's like different ways to sacrifice, like, the ancient, what was it? North American tribes did that kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, use all of the animal, pray to the animal spirit, so that as for forgiveness for having to do what you did. Something oh, which I actually very much appreciate, but which is sadly lost in modern tradition in the modern world, because we just tend to think of these animals as here for us, and we can do what we want with them.
Unfortunately, yes, but
Like the slaughterhouses that we have here in North Carolina.
slaughterhouses are bad. Factory farming is bad. I think all of that stuff is stupid. That's my own personal um principles talking, because suffering doesn't make the meat taste good, guys. It doesn't. Can we stop? That'd be great.
Yeah, please, can we really please? I mean, not that I want to force everyone to go vegan, but I would prefer not eating animals. But at the same point, if we have to, try to do it in the most humane way possible. I mean, come on. You see some of the videos that come out of those places, especially in North Carolina, as well as the other environmental impacts with sludge and whatnot. It's horrible. It's horrific.
Yeah, and people would rather focus on halal stuff, and I'm like, slaughterhouses, guys. Let's fix our shit before we tell others to fix their shit. Get you, please. Thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah, can we please not have pigs being boiled alive? That would be really nice, especially since I think research has indicated that pigs are a bit more intelligent than dogs. Imagine your dog being boiled alive, and that's pretty much what happens on a daily basis at a pig farm.
You are slightly echoing, my friend.
Oh. Is this better?
Well, I mean, well, not echoing. You are a bit of roboting. Okay.
Okay, let me connect. Is this better?
That is better.
Hello?
But that is better, yes. I'm just going to say, but this is what happens.
Zalrok?
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Technical difficulties.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but my connection is going crazy.
Ah, okay.
Oop. I have decided to fix by just disconnecting and reconnecting.
Okay, try that.
Well, I have decided to fix to do it by doing that.
You have what?
I disconnected and then reconnected because my voice connected was going red.
What's going weird? I mean, I can hear you now. You're fine. So.
Okay.
Oh, technical things.
Hello there, Draytone. Hello there. Hello there.
Slaughterhouses?
Yes.
Bad.
Very bad. I find them ethically. I was about to say ethnically, but that was my brain going ethically and morally repugnant, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I guess to offer an analogy for that, pigs are said to be a little more intelligent than dogs. So imagine your dog getting boiled alive. And that's apparently what sometimes happens in pig farms. At least from some worker reports that I've read.
Hello, Draytone.
Yeah.
So, hang on a minute. Hello, Draytone. Welcome to the table. This is Calon, and what are your pronouns, please?
They, them.
And they are here to discuss veganism and a lot of other stuff. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Hello. So, yeah. Any questions?
I have more because I need more questions. So, um, um, do you work anywhere? What kind of job do you do? Or if you don't have a job, what would you like to do?
Well, mostly what I like to do when off for Mark is study. Um, I do a lot of studying of ancient languages, like particularly right now the old Germanic languages, such as well as the Sumerian language. The Sumerian language is tough. It is not easy. The old Germanic languages, such as Old English, Old Norse, Modern Icelandic, because Old Icelandic and Old Norse are actually pretty close together. So I figure why not? And yeah, aside from that, also a lot of studying of mythology because paganism kind of requires that, especially from a Reconstructionist perspective. Since myth is where we derive a lot of stuff and how we get to know our gods.
Dratone or Dratone, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Is asking, how are we doing? Oh, I'm doing well. What about you?
You kind of cut out there.
Well, Dratone has asked, how are we doing? And I'm doing well. What about you?
Hey, I'm doing well too. In the semester stuff, so a lot of work.
School sucks.
It does. It's a lot of, especially since I'm a math major. You get a lot of fun problems you get to do at the end of the semesters.
Math is hard.
It can be, yeah. A lot of it is you'll look at something and you'll think, "What the heck is this?" And then you'll spend an hour figuring it out, and then it just comes. It's like, "Oh, that's really all it is." Because a lot of it's just reading definitions and then making deductions from those definitions. And yeah, that's how math is done.
Indeed. So, um, outside of the, what is it? Those mythologies that you study, what else do you do you also like study the Aztec or any of those other ones too?
Yes, I do. Aztec, by the way. Oh, I mean, if the Norse are metal, then like the Aztecs are like heavy metal. Their gods, in terms of like blood sacrifices and whatnot. Oh, yeah. Like let's take Noah's flood. In Noah's flood, humanity survives, but in the Aztec flood myth, when the gods say that they're going to wipe out all of humanity, they mean it and actually do it, which is kind of funny. They didn't recreate humanity, obviously, from their mythological perspective. And they also have their gods that will go and become the sun, and the idea is that their blood sacrifices are what are a way of like sort of giving power, making the sort of the sun come back. It's very interesting and very intense, put mildly. The other mythology, which is also really interesting that I've been looking at recently, are the Yoruba and the Orishas. They actually have had a huge influence on Christianity in the Caribbean and whatnot, with like Vodun or voodoo. And so yeah, you have the Loas like Bonsamdi and all these other sort of like Orisha like beings, which are viewed as, well, in the Christian version, as being sort of subordinate to, I think, one god, which basically makes them polytheistic. In others, you just have the straight out polytheism where You have like Ogun, who is like the god of rum, as well as something else that I can't remember at the moment. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. They also believe in apotheoses, that is, humans can become gods, which is an interesting belief, if that all makes sense.
Yes, indeed. I believe that in Buddhism and in like a lot of other Eastern religions, there's apotheosis as well.
It's sort of a different apotheosis in like Buddhism, so the idea of like gaining enlightenment in nirvana. But I guess I could see that how you can interpret that. More where you see it is also within Shintoism, which is a very fun, which is another really fun tradition that I need to do a lot of reading on because, well, it's one of the few polytheisms to actually arrive into the modern world, so to speak.
Outside of Hinduism and all
Well,
of
with
that.
Hinduism, the funny thing about Hinduism is that you only have a few branches that are polytheistic. So, like, you have, I think the only like main branch that's polytheistic is Smartism, which holds 5 gods. I forget the names of those gods at the moment, but the others, like Vishnuism and Kaliism and whatnot, they view the Dharma as Kali or Vishnu and sort of these others and are monotheistic in perspective. Then, of course, you have the more traditional Hindus where you have like, 10 million or so deities, which is fun to ponder. It's actually quite Sumerian. Like, the Sumerians had a ton of deities themselves.
I hate to say this, Calon, but every time your phone makes a notification, I have to check my phone.
My phone's not making any notifications.
Well, sometimes I hear a phone buzzing, and I'm like, is that my phone?
Odd. I'll put my phone to the side and see if that helps then. Go away.
Go away, phone. Anyway, so, yes, ancient mythologies are very interesting, especially the ones with demiurges.
Oh yeah, Demurges, like the Gnostic Christians.
Or you know, what was it? I believe ancient Egyptians also had one like that.
Oh yeah, the ancient Egyptians are fascinating. I need to study more Comiticism. In the sort of pagan sphere, people who practice the ancient Egyptian religion are called Comitics. Fun little term. And yeah, a lot of divination. You have demons, so to speak, that aren't evil, necessarily evil, I should say. And they have their own sort of conceptualization of the soul, the pharaoh being a representation of Ra, and all sorts of other fun stuff.
Yes, and when that one pharaoh tried making the region
Akhenaten.
yes, tried making a tune and everyone monotheist. Everyone wasn't happy with him.
No, they're not. I mean, the problem with monotheism, well, one of the problems, aside from it being pretty, pretty, why is the word slipping from my head right now? Incoherent, that's right. Is that it's also very exclusivist. So if you're a monotheist, you have to address now the spiritual experiences of all these other different religions, and you have to tie in those spiritual experiences to just one being. So you're basically have to be able to go up to the Native American who just had a spiritual experience of the Great Buffalo, and then say how the Great Buffalo is the same thing as Yahweh. If that makes sense.
It does, but then again, I personally don't have spiritual experiences, as far as I'm aware, so it it doesn't make sense to me when people talk about their experiences, but at the same time, it's none of my business, so.
Well, also, I'm talking more also from a theological viewpoint, so from like the monotheistic perspective. So, from a monotheist, they have to label all of these experiences that people have and tie it back into one being. Atheist would simply choose a natural explanation for these various experiences, if that makes sense.
Or, instead of making a naturalist kind of thing, just go, I don't care, you do you, because I'm a very apathetic person to those things.
Oh, are you an apatheist? Have you heard
Mm,
that term?
no, I'm an atheist who just kind of goes live and
Apatheism
left.
is the idea that.
I
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
I just go live and let live. I don't personally care if you have experiences or not. Just don't force it on me. I don't care.
Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. No, apatheism is basically the idea of I don't care if a god exists or not, which is kind of a fun position to contemplate. Yeah, no, I am very live and let live myself, as are most polytheists, because, well, quite frankly, we have to deal with the same trash that atheists do in terms of Christians and whatnot, if not sometimes more so in a lot of ways, because it's not that we don't believe in gods, we believe in more gods, but according to the Christians, we believe in the wrong god.
Or you believe in demons.
Yeah, or we'll get the relabeling and they'll relabel them as demons, except then I get to throw Christians off because I've developed my own definition for a demon. And it's like, no, this is not a demon. Because demons there is a sort of a tradition of demonology that you can sort of pan out and look at to sort of classify various, I guess we'll call them spiritual beings, so to speak, as demons. The way I do it is via geography, ability of possession, and not as powerful as a deity. If them if that's if if you get that.
Yes, and then technically the Trinitarians are basically don't make any sense on if you think about it, because they Son, Spirit, and Holy Ghost are technically three gods if you think about it. They don't like when you point that out.
Yeah, they don't like it when you call them polytheists. um, you kind of cut out there. Did you say everything you need to say?
Um, well, I mean, well, yes, I did. But anyway, on a different question, and you could probably Art, do you play any video games? Because this is a gaming channel, but I like video
Oh, I play a
games.
ton of video games. My Steam library is like full. I play roguelikes, like Binding of Isaac and whatnot. RPGs like Tyranny. Path of Exile is another game I need to go back and play. Or no, Kingmaker. Yeah, or some. Yeah, God. And also
Pathfinder,
Kingmaker,
Kingmaker?
Pathfinder, that too, and Path of Exiles, as or and Pillars of Eternity, all sorts of games, and management and survival games sometimes, depending on what I feel like.
I would have to say that my acceptance of polytheism has to come from playing RPGs.
Yeah, a lot of RPGs actually sort of get the idea right with polytheism. It's kind of funny, which I guess is why Christians call them satanic. um, like
Let's see,
Kingmaker, Pathfinder, where they.
well, for Pathfinder, they have I don't know about Kingmaker, but if I'm going to go into RPGs and all the multiple different polytheistic religions they have the Daedra and the Aedra.
Mm-hmm.
They have that's for basically the Elder Scrolls theology.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm.
Then they have the seven gods from and the old gods in like Game of Thrones, and then
Oh yeah, the seven gods, which are basically just the Catholic Church.
yeah, it's very Catholic for the seven gods. If you think about it, and then there's uh, then there's like the gods in like what was it, Dragon Age? Then there's lots of different
Mm-hmm.
pantheons in like other RPGs and Dungeons and Dragons and
I think
whatever.
the most fascinating one that I've seen is the one in Pillars of Eternity, where have you played Pillars? I don't want to spoil it.
I've never. I've been to the first town after in Pillars of Eternity 1. I've never gone past that.
Oh, okay, so I shouldn't spoil it, in other words.
Yes, no spoil. If you spoil, I'll be sad.
Okay, the only thing I will say is that you should play it through, and that it has a very interesting thought experiment. That's what I'll say. The rest is censored.
All right then, good. Because if you would have spoiled it, Zal would have been angry and would have kicked you
Oh,
off the.
there is one other thing I will say is that if you play a priest or whatnot, play as an Aothian priest. Those are fun characters.
Draytone, Pillars has a thought experiment. Pillars of Eternity. Apparently.
Yeah, but you kind of have to play the whole game through.
And like a good PC gamer, I say buy it on sale.
Yeah, definitely. They also came out with Pillars of Eternity 2, which I don't have.
I own that, which I'm going to play through after I play through Pillars. So.
Yeah, definitely, because you can actually carry your character from Pillars 1 to Pillars 2.
Yes, I love it when the games have export functions for their in RPGs. Unfortunately, Dragon Age kinda said, "Fuck that! You have to have a new character, and you can't import."
Yeah, that does leave a bad taste in my mouth. Oh, there's also Divinity Original Sin 2. That's another epic one.
Actually, I never played through that one, but I have played through Dragon Commander, and I am currently playing Original Sin 1 on stream.
Oh, okay, cool. Then I won't spoil. Well, actually, it's on the store page. Basically, in Divinity Original Sin 2, you can become a god.
Well, yes, because I played through some of the campaign already,
Ah, okay, cool.
so I know about the Godwoken stuff.
Yep. The yeah, I haven't played it through fully yet, but I intend to. I just need to find time.
And now they're coming up with an RTS. Well, not an RTS. It's more like an XCOM slash XCOM like with the Godwoken and you as a commander.
Oh, fun. That sounds fun.
Yes, as long as they do the XCOM part not dumbed down like they did in the XCOM games.
Yeah, definitely. What I'd like to see more, also though, I'd like to see more like Norse RPGs, like set in a Norse setting.
Well, they
Like
do
right
have.
now, there's only one. It's like Vikings Expeditions, if you've ever heard of it.
Well, they do have Bannerlord actually.
Oh yeah, Banner Saga. It's Banner Saga, Banner Lord. I forget.
Banner Saga, yes, and Bannerlord, and there's also. Yeah, they do have a lot of Norse themed RPGs. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, okay. When I mean, they also have some RTSs, but I mean like more like I'd like to see a game like set in Ragnarok, for example.
My mind instantly goes to Ragnarok Online, but that's a weeb game.
Yeah, no, I mean like one that's where your character is like in the hall in Odin's hall, and Heimdallr blows the Yalar horn. If you get those references.
I do. I did read an old book about all the poetic saga Eddas, I believe.
Yeah, it's and I'm learning Old Norse so I can read the Poetic Saga in Old Norse because it's apparently a lot more fun. But yeah, see, like, have a I don't know, have a which I guess is they're trying to. I guess that's the direction they seem to be going with in God of War. Even
And
if
kind of
hmm?
failed with that in several respects of the mythology.
Oh, mythologically, yeah, they fail majorly. They make Odin look like a Jotun.
Also, why the fuck is the giant snake outside of the ocean? Shouldn't that be Ragnarok?
Yeah, that is weird. It's like Jormungandr, which is the name of the giant serpent. He's supposed to be circling the world, and Midgard is supposed to be like a sort of a smaller subsection of that. Also, I don't like how they made like Niflheim and Muspelheim optional areas. I mean, they could have done more with those areas. I feel like, come on, like you know what their function is in Norse mythology.
Not off the top of my head. It's been forever since
They
I.
are basically what fills in Ginnungagap and basically makes the world.
Um, the gig of pronouncing things when other
Ginnungagap.
people. Yes, basically the void of chaos. In um, yes,
In the Norse, yeah, it was there before everything.
yes, and then a cow licked out a giant, and then the first gods basically.
Yep, basically.
If you subscribe to that anyway, which
Yeah, the other.
what do you subscribe to that or no?
Well, that depends on what you mean by subscribe. Do you mean do I believe it? I believe a metaphorical version of it could have occurred, not a literal version.
Yes, and then if you believe in a literal version of that, then it kind of contradicts like science.
Oh yeah, no. No. Science is, I believe, not in a literal version, but a metaphorical version. And I mean, there are ways you can have a literal version without contradicting science, but that basically it means that what you have to do is say, well, it didn't occur in this universe; it just occurred in like a parallel universe, if that makes sense. Which is kind of fun to think about.
I guess. I mean, I don't
But
know, so.
although I have thought about sometimes on Twitter just going and trolling a flat earther and saying, no, the earth isn't flat. It's clearly Umir's skull. Get it right.
It's also weird how in the God of War game they kind of pronounce all of the Norse words. Kind of sounds like they do it improperly, considering you say it the proper way, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, roughly. Sometimes I might use an Icelandic pronunciation from it. I'd have to go back and listen to some of the dialogue. I think from what I recall, they did some of the Icelandic pronunciation, because when it comes to Old Norse, there's reconstructed pronunciation, which was done by linguists and to a very high degree of accuracy. And then there's what students tend to be taught, which it tends to be a Icelandic version. So instead of saying the Aesir, which is how you're supposed to say it, they'll say Aesir for the tribe of gods that are bringers of order and whatnot.
Yeah, there's then again, Icelandic is just another form of the old Norwegian.
Of the Old Norse, yeah, it actually is. Modern Icelanders can actually read the old sagas without much training. In fact, without any training in some cases, because they're that close together, and it shows when you look at their various declensions, like with Hester, Hestar, and various other nouns, which are fun. Which, fun fact, do you know what the etymology is, or what the word Yggdrasil means?
Tree of Life?
No, it doesn't. It actually means Odin's horse.
Odin's horse. But I thought I thought Odin's horse was that 8-legged monstrosity.
Was Sleipnir. Yeah. No, it's a what's called a kinning. So in Old Norse poetry and in Icelandic, they will substitute various compound nouns to refer to various normal nouns. So, like, for example, a sword will be known as a blood sickle. Or a warrior will be called a feeder of ravens.
Old
And so in
languages
this
are interesting. Old
I'm sorry.
languages are very interesting in the way they turn words into things.
Yeah, they are. They are a lot more willing to play with words and whatnot. In this case, it's actually a kinning that refers to the fact that Odin hung himself from the world tree for 9 days in order to gain the knowledge of the runes.
Yes, Odin did a lot of things for knowledge, but then again, he was god of wisdom and stuff like that, so it
Well, it's
works.
kind of hard to say god of when it comes to the Norse, because they were more, I would say, more like associated with wisdom, because they're more like personalities than functionaries. So, like, Odin, while he's a god of wisdom, he still does a lot of. He still can make mistakes. He still doesn't know everything. Does that make sense?
Yes, they were not omniscient like the Christian God claims he is.
Yeah, no, they're not omniscient. I don't hold omniscience. I don't hold the omni traits for the gods. Although, funny enough, I could. There is a way you could sort of like manage to get something like that from the Sumerian pantheon, but I don't hold it personally.
Yeah, and for kind of there's kind of similarities between the Norse pantheon and the Greek pantheon, between those two pantheons, because they both need apples to stay immortal and youthful. If you, and the Norns and the Fates are similar.
Well, not only that, but you have two competing tribes as well. In Norse, you have the Aesir, and you have the Jot versus the Jotun. And in the Greek, you have the Titans versus the gods.
And isn't there like a third tribe in the Norse though, like the Vanir?
Yeah, the Vanir, who sometimes apparently came into conflict with the Aesir, but aren't at conflict right now. They're more like, they're actually kind of ambiguous when you look at the historical evidence for it. a lot of what we know comes from like place names and whatnot, and there's some indication that they were thought of as a separate tribe, and others not so much. I hold them to be separate, and because I find their classifications to be useful, but it depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, I think they will. But didn't those two tribes intermarry at one point in the Eddas?
Yes, particularly Freya is a comes from the Vanir. She's not originally from the Aesir.
Yes, and she married Thor. If I am
No, not for Thor. Thor's wife is Sif. Freya married Odin.
right,
Hmm?
I remember now. I remember now.
Yeah, it's easy to get a bit confused on this stuff.
Yes, and Loki got a lot of trouble when he cut off Steve's hair.
Yes, he did. Loki is an interesting character that some people actually think he's a Christian construct. Other people think that he was a god, but the evidence of any sort of like, but he was seen as like a sort of malevolent figure whom you didn't worship. I personally kind of lean towards the idea that he was a god, but with Christianization, the Christians basically looked at him and say, "Oh, he's Satan," and destroyed all images of him. But yeah, he's a controversial character within heathenry.
But isn't he in the Eddas though?
He is, but you have to remember the Eddas were written about what is it, 800 years later after Iceland had converted to Christianity. So they're still closer than we are to the Norse, but they're still somewhat far away. And there is a lot of Christian influence that you can find still in the Prose Edda. A little less so in the Poetic Edda. There you can actually find hints and whatnot. And some of the poems are actually have been dated via style to be a lot earlier. But there's still some sort of there's still some Christian influences like with Balder and whatnot. Balder being like a Jesus sort of figure, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Balder wasn't as Jesus-y as in the older Eddas than he was in the prose.
No, he wasn't. I think there's some evidence, although I have to check it out for myself, that he was like the other gods, a war god. I don't know which aspect of war he sort of addressed. Like with Odin, you see him sort of favoring the elite troops, like the berserkers and whatnot, as well as tactics and whatnot. With Thor, it's more like about order and brute strength. I don't know what position it would have been for Balder. Not the position that they portray in God of War.
Then again, I've never played God of War. I've only seen someone else play it on live stream, so I've never played it myself because I don't play on consoles. I play on PC only.
I thought they released it for PC. They didn't?
Maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not about to play consoleized trash.
Consoleized what?
Trash.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, real gamers play only on PCs.
Well,
you
don't have to.
Yeah, that's
I
a
don't,
joke before I get all the hate in the world.
I don't subscribe to the real gamers stuff. I'm just saying that there's more games on PC than there are on console.
Plus, all games are originally made on PC anyway.
Well, that's true. Well, eventually, but the UI is just bad on consoles.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
Anyway, yes, the Norse mythology is actually very fun to look at.
It is. It's also very mysterious because we don't have a lot.
Yes, a lot of it was either destroyed or just forgotten by the Christian priests who wrote it all down later.
Yeah, like there's this whole other god that a lot of people don't know about named Uller, who is apparently very important in the old religion. So important that when Odin gets outlawed, Uller takes head of the Aesir. Funny enough, from what I recall. I could be wrong.
Hello there, Jonathan.
I know Odin mentions him in Greenness Mall, which is a major poem that has a lot of older references and whatnot.
Yes, indeed, very interesting. And so, do you live, without doxing yourself, where do you live?
In North Carolina.
Yes, you told me that, but I forgot that again. Zal's memory is not even all that great. Zal's memory is terrible.
Well, I mean, you are chaos, right?
Indeed, and apparently I am quieter than you.
Apparently. But that's okay. Yep, Norse mythology is fun. So is Sumerian mythology. I think we have probably a little more Sumerian mythology than we do of Norse mythology.
Then again, the Sumerian mythology didn't have Catholic priests trying to fuck with it.
No, they had they actually kind of transformed into Babylonian mythology. So they still had some Semitics messing around, but yeah. And it also led to a huge influence on the Bible.
You know, like the flood myth.
Well, at least probably indirectly, Ziasudra.
Gilgamesh.
Yep. Gilgamesh, Enkidu. It also can be very metal. Basically, the reason why the gods decide to wipe out humanity is because we got too loud. It's like, okay.
Oh,
Then what was it?
they thought that we were too loud back then. Well, we're probably louder now.
Yeah, that's why another flood's coming. Clearly.
No, they'll just throw a meteor at us.
No, they don't even have to do that. They just look at us and say, "Oh, they'll kill themselves with global warming anyway."
Or nukes.
Yeah, nukes too. Have you played Seneca's Sacrifice?
No.
That's one you should play with headphones. Definitely. It's about mental health and whatnot, but it's set in a Norse setting.
Yeah, I know about that. I just saw someone stream it and it was like, hey, if you get motion sick, this game will give you motion sickness.
Basically, yeah. And also, if you have other conditions, this game may trigger them because that scene where what is it, where Seneca dies and yet doesn't die? That was creepy as heck.
Yeah, and apparently the combat is really bad too.
Well, it's
So
supposed to apparently be clunky because you're not playing a person who is exactly mentally fit.
yes, she has like voices talking in her head. She may be schizophrenic. She may be have PTSD. She may have lots of other mental issues.
Or a combination thereof of all, yeah. Which you hear when you listen with headphones. It's really creepy.
Yes, it's a very creepy game, and I don't want to play it at all because I don't want to give my chat nightmares or motor sickness or anything of the sort. So,
Yeah,
or
but I
my
mean, at the same
or
point,
myself motion sickness.
It is about an important topic, though.
Indeed, which I will say by if people want to play it themselves, go for it. I
Exactly.
don't have an interest in it.
Exactly.
But what if we like these things, Jonathan says. Well, Jonathan, then play it on your own time. Joel doesn't want to get sick because you guys are sadistic fucks.
Yeah, never trust Twitch chat.
Never trust chat in general. Chat wants to
They are your
ruin...
bane.
Yes, indeed. So anyway, what if we want to see you play it?
What if we want to see you throw up and get sick?
Indeed, never trust a top hatter. Top hatters are the worst. Anyway, it's been an hour, which means I have to bid adieu to you and to chat.
Alrighty, it's been fun.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for coming on. This has been Zalrok Chaos with Calon. Calon? Calon?
Calon.
Calon, yes. No last name as far as I'm aware.
I mean, you could try to pronounce my sort of last name on Twitter, which is Zalterview. If you want.
No. Yeah, no. No. I'm not going to try and murder a name again.
Zalterview.
So, have a good one, everybody. See you all next time. Happy Easter. And have a good one. Or, oh yes, that's the thing that you said that I'm not even going to try pronouncing again.
Eostre.
Eoster.
Eostre.
Eostre.
There you go. You got it.
Yes, I'll eventually get it. Whenever I'm not trying to murder foreign words.
It's not foreign, though. It's English. It's old English.
It's English that is dead and I will not use ever again. Bye.